This video is powered by KR Mangalam University. Donald Trump's actions have appeared to trigger fresh global oil market chaos, as the crisis around the Strait of Hormuz worsened and uncertainty spread across already volatile energy markets worldwide. Oil prices surged sharply once again after the United States moved to seize an Iranian vessel near the Strait of Hormuz, escalating tensions and fueling fears of wider disruption to global oil supply. Iran, which had earlier indicated a possible reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, appeared to reverse its position amid mounting pressure even as the United States continued enforcing its own naval blockade in the region. Tensions have continued to rise ahead of the next round of talks, with Iran keeping the United States guessing through mixed signals, raising doubts over whether diplomacy can still prevent further escalation. European natural gas prices rose sharply on April 19th after Iran once again moved to shut the Strait of Hormuz, triggering fresh concerns across energy markets already on edge. Gas futures surged nearly 11% in early Asian trading on April 20th, climbing to around $50 per megawatt hour, reflecting immediate market anxiety over supply disruptions, according to Bloomberg. At the same time, Brent crude prices climbed roughly 5% to $95.16 a barrel on April 20th, while S&P 500 futures slipped by 0.6%, signaling broader financial market unease as reported by Reuters. Just days earlier on April 17th, oil prices had actually fallen amid hopes that Iran might ease tensions and reopen the Strait of Hormuz, offering temporary relief to global markets. However, those hopes were quickly dashed when the Iran military denied any plans to reopen the strait, making it clear that all shipping movements would still require its approval. As a result, nearly 10 to 11 million barrels per day of global oil supply remains at risk, with shipping through the Strait of Hormuz continuing to face uncertainty and disruption. Since the start of the war, global oil prices have experienced extreme volatility, swinging sharply from around $70 per barrel to well over $100 at peak levels, reflecting the deepening geopolitical risk. As the ceasefire moves closer to expiry, the US has seized an Iranian cargo ship, adding fresh tensions to an already volatile situation at sea. President Donald Trump announced that the US military carried out the seizure of the Iranian vessel on April 19th. The US military also released footage showing Navy fire hitting the cargo ship while it was out at sea. According to reports, a US missile destroyer intercepted the ship as it allegedly attempted to head toward Iran. The Iran-flagged vessel was said to be traveling towards Bandar Abbas port when it was stopped, according to the US military. US officials say that the ship ignored communications for more than 6 hours, which led forces to take action. The destroyer then reportedly ordered the crew to evacuate the engine room before opening fire to disable the vessel. Several shells from the warship's 5-inch Mk-45 guns struck the engine area, leaving the ship immobilized in the water. US troops later boarded the Iranian vessel and took control without meeting any further resistance. This ship is now in US custody following the operation, according to the US Central Command. The US officials say that the vessel was taken into custody after it allegedly tried to break a US blockade on Iranian ports. Iran has strongly condemned the operation as armed piracy and theft and has vowed retaliation over what it calls a violation of the truce. Iran has accused the United States of violating the ceasefire after attacking its cargo vessel in the Gulf of Oman. On April 19th, US forces reportedly fired at the ship, disabling its engine before boarding and seizing it. President Donald Trump later confirmed the seizure, saying the vessel was under US sanctions. In response, Iranian media said drone attacks were launched targeting US warships operating nearby. Iranian officials described the strikes as direct retaliation for what they called a US act of aggression. Iran strongly condemned the incident and warned that further retaliation against the US would follow. Ibrahim Zulfaghari said, and I'm quoting, "The aggressor United States violated the ceasefire and committed maritime piracy by firing at an Iranian merchant ship in the waters of the Sea of Oman and landing a number of its terrorist marines on the deck of the vessel, disabling its navigation system." It further says, and I'm quoting again, "We warn that the armed forces of the Islamic Republic of Iran will soon respond to the armed piracy and retaliation by the US Army." Unquote. The operation comes at a time of fragile ceasefire and growing uncertainty over ongoing diplomatic efforts. The US action also came just 2 days before the 2-week ceasefire with Iran was due to end. Meanwhile, Iran says it has no plans yet to attend the next round of talks in Pakistan. Thanks for watching Hindustan Times.